and welcome to this week's news update. I'm Marcela Tomčíková and there are the key stories, developments and trends you need to know about. The new zoning plan, which will come into force in Prague in September, is to replace the previous document from 1999 after more than 25 years. The city districts expected to provide better conditions for the development of housing, schools, transport and the protection of the housing estates from excessive densification. However, some mayors point out that a number of important transport structures have not yet been included in the plan, and they will strive to add them in future changes.
After several hours of debate, the city representatives approved a new master plan for the capital, replacing the existing document from 1999. The new plan sets where housing, transport infrastructure and schools can be built. It covers parks and public amenities, and city leaders say it will simplify Prague's development. In the end, 50 representatives voted for the plan. 3 were against and 1 abstained.
Prague really needs this plan. It simply provides certain parameters for construction. For example, I think that quite often there is some concern expressed here regarding greenery. I think that the plan is actually a great help in that regard. Because, for example, in housing estates, it defines all those open spaces as parks in open development, or territory, which is non-buildable. And in today's plan, for example, all those spaces between apartment buildings are buildable, so it significantly expands the protection of greenery.
During the course of the several-hour meeting, dozens of members of the public who arrived directly at the assembly hall also expressed their views on the proposal. Some of them demanded the postponement of the document's approval or its further modifications.
The Metropolitan Plan should be corrected. It has been published for a week, and the online application is not even working, so none of the representatives could responsibly assess what is in it at this moment. So we say that it should be interrupted at this moment until September. The city districts and the public should be acquainted with the changes, and especially the Prague representatives. Only then should it be responsibly assessed and potentially have some things corrected within it.
Actually, the residential housing estates often do not even have that public openness marked in the Metropolitan Plan that already exists there. So, how are we actually supposed to rely on the fact that we will protect it and continue to develop it further?
I am from Prague 9, and we have been fighting for a long time that intensive construction is basically worsening our quality of life because it is not followed by infrastructure. We lack amenities there. We know it. And the City Hall knows it too. Something started to be done about it, but we hope that the Metropolitan Plan would move it a bit, that a concept would be created and investment plans would also be created, which are needed and are missing there. But that did not happen.
The new master plan was supported by most representatives, including some opposition. Support was announced by representatives of the ANO movement, SPD or Prague Sobě, who also admit that the document will need to be adjusted in the following years.
For the opposition, it's a wasted opportunity. After 15 years, the result is a compromise that satisfies no one. Not investors, the public, citizens, conservationists, or preservationists, no one. But after those 15 years, we are tired of the preparation, and we think it is better to have at least a bad plan than no plan. So today we will support the approval of the Metropolitan Plan, but we are immediately formulating theses and specific comments on how to fix it in the next election period.
We will support the Metropolitan Plan because it is needed. You know, I am a professor, an architect. I have been dealing with designing in Prague for more than 25 years, and I know the whole issue completely. It's a complex matter in Prague. It is always promised that the new Metropolitan Plan will be ideal. Everything will be rosy. But I see that, of course, it has its limits and its boundaries. I perceive what the citizens are saying. The need for public amenities, the need for schools, the need for affordable housing. I have several opinions and recipes on how to solve this. But simply put, I have a final opinion. Let's support the plan.
Given that Prague Sobě was involved in the creation of the Metropolitan Plan to a large extent through the chairman of the Committee for Urban Development, Peter Zeman, I perceive that it is our political duty to the city to support the Metropolitan Plan. I cannot speak for absolutely all members of Prague Sobě, but I think that our support will be there for the most part, and mine personally for sure.
I will definitely support the Metropolitan Plan, and I think that most of my colleagues will too, for several reasons. First, it is simply a much better tool for city planning than the current master plan, whether because of infrastructure preparation, which very much simplifies planning and subsequent infrastructure construction, whether transport or other. And also because it offers the possibility to build many more apartments than under the current master plan. And moreover, it concentrates this new housing construction primarily in places that are well served by public transport, which is in line with the approach of transit-oriented development, which we support.
However, some pirate representatives announced before the vote that they would not support the new master plan. Criticism was directed, for example, at insufficient public amenities or the settlement of comments from city districts.
I have about 3 reasons for this. One was actually ignoring most of the comments that were submitted by city districts, associations, and citizens. There's a discussion today about it. The second thing actually relates to the proceedings. I, as a council member, was not even allowed into the expert advisory body, the Commission for the Master Plan. Another area is actually the insufficient equipment, especially of social services, schools, and kindergartens, with the growth of the population, which will create the need during the construction of up to 350,000 new apartments. And actually, the last one I would say is that when I read one of the many attachments, many and many, I was shocked by the negative impact on real estate prices. This means that with this large densification, it is not the case that the price of real estate will go down, but on the contrary, the price of real estate may rise.
I don't get the argument that the Metro Plan raises housing costs. On the contrary, the Metropolitan Plan, compared to the current Master Plan, brings the possibility of much larger, more extensive housing construction, which in itself, of course, leads to a decrease in housing prices and not to an increase in housing prices. It focuses construction where it makes sense, not on Prague's outskirts, where people are still dependent on car transport, but instead in places that are actually served by public mass transit. I find it quite bizarre because the Pirate Party has actually been in power for 8 years now. They had Mayor Hybe, and for the last 4 years they have been in a coalition with the ODS and Stan. And actually, over those 8 years, they had enough space to adjust what they didn't like there. So I don't know how the Pirates wanted to build apartments in Prague when they messed up the digitalization and didn't create the Metro Plan. Some things just aren't possible without those documents. I will be satisfied once it is approved, because we will finally have a predictable document, ensuring there is no chaos in Prague and we can address the issues that concern us. We must keep working, as the 1999 plan is valid for only 2 more years. And if we fail to approve the new one, chaos could easily break out in Prague, and I believe that it is completely unacceptable for the representatives to place Prague in such an irresponsible situation.
The new zoning plan starts in September to guide Prague's development for decades to come.
Prague's abandoned animal shelters in Troja and Dolní Měcholupy have new, modern diagnostic equipment. The city has purchased a computed tomography scanner for them, which will allow veterinarians to detect serious injuries and illnesses more quickly and accurately.
The city shelters in Troja and Dolní Měcholupy have newly acquired a CT scanner costing approximately 4 million crowns. Modern technology will allow vets to perform specialized exams on site and speed up animal patient diagnostics.
In my role as a counselor overseeing both culture and animal welfare, I am pleased because this device will provide faster diagnostics for the treatment of animal diseases and injuries. At the same time, this device will have the positive effect of reducing stress during animal examinations and improve chances for successful treatment.
A CT scanner, also known as computed tomography, will enable us to perform better diagnostics and better therapy for very serious conditions, which we encounter very frequently at our shelters. These are primarily complicated pelvic fractures, especially in cats that fall victim to car accidents or falls from heights, most frequently from balconies or open windows.
Until now, some exams had to be done at specialized clinics outside the shelters. According to the city, the new equipment will bring not only greater comfort for animals, but also cost savings.
The city will save a significant amount of money annually by using fewer external veterinary clinics because it will now own all of this medical equipment and utilize it in both Troja and Dolny Mekalupi.
According to veterinarians, the challenge will now be to involve this exam for the widest range of patients and fully utilize the possibilities that the new technology provides for the treatment of animals within Prague's shelters.
The members of the Sokol movement, Sokolové of Vinohrady, have completed the reconstruction of their athletics oval at their Sokolovna in Polská Street. The 18 million crown project, half financed by the Prague municipality, offers athletes 6 tracks instead of the original 4. The investment is intended to cover their lack of capacity for organizing sports competitions in the metropolis.
This is how Emil Zatopek raced on the original cinder surface at the Vinohrady Oval in a film that had its premiere 5 years ago. The historic state of the track, visible in the footage, was the main reason the sports facility required a major modernization.
A cinder track of this size might not even exist anywhere else in Europe anymore. And the problem in the summer was, of course, the dust and breathing. And if it rained, there was mud and puddles. It was totally inadequate. Not just today, but not even 20 years ago.
On the asphalt base, there is now a tartan surface that catches the eye with its unusual yellow color. The conservationists demanded this as a condition for the modifications in the protected area.
It is used for track and field disciplines. It is a 400-meter classic oval, which we expanded from the original 4 lanes to 6 lanes.
This allows our athletes to accommodate more children here, to have a better surface, meaning it is much healthier and cushioned. It is not dirty. And what is more, the track now in this scope already can also serve for the purpose of hosting races up to the youth category level. And not just for us at Sokol, but for the Prague Athletic Union and the Czech Sokol community. And for the public, schools actually come here. They have their school gym classes here. They have sports days here. So for all of them, it is qualitatively and organizationally a more suitable track for track and field athletics.
Construction work began last October. Due to the winter weather, however, it had to be interrupted and finished only after the frosts subsided. The transformation cost 18 million crowns, funded by the unit and Prague City Hall. The sports complex is also expanding. In the place of the former handball court, the Prague 2 district is building a new leisure center. This will target teenagers primarily and will offer, for example, a volleyball or basketball court and a workout zone, a climbing wall, or some facilities for refreshments.
The construction of the long-awaited overpass in Velká Chuchle continues. After a year of work, the pillars and abutments of the bridge are already in place, and the builders have begun concreting the bridge structure. Once completed, the new level crossing is expected to remove the problematic railway crossing, increase safety, and shorten the queues that have plagued drivers here for decades.
A new road overpass is being built over the railway in Velká Chuchle. The structure will replace a busy level crossing with gates, which causes long-term traffic jams and poses a safety risk according to locals.
What you have not seen yet is that we have bridged the Rutich stream located here and have begun construction on the bridge itself. Behind me, you can see our progress. We have the pillars and abutments ready, and we have started pouring concrete for the bridge and pre-stressed the first span.
After a year of work, the bridge pillars and abutments are finished and builders are continuing on the bridge structure itself.
We should finish the bridge this year. That means up to this abutment here, where we are standing now. And at the beginning of the new year, the road should be opened, and in April, we should start driving on the new bypass.
The hardest part of the project is yet to come, according to builders. The project also includes a new railway underpass, which will require digging into the rocky subsoil and will limit traffic on the line.
The technical challenges will peak next year, because while this bridge is a standard structure, once we start the underpass, we will be digging into the rocky subsoil, and we have very limited time, so we will be closing the individual tracks in stages and it is technically quite complicated to carry out.
I think it will help you a lot after those 20 years of fighting. We are very glad that there will be any grade-separated crossing. The first thing is safety. It is definitely important because the intersection under the overpass is highly risky. There is a crossing there. Very often cars stand on the tracks due to traffic congestion, so at least that danger will be removed. And then we hope that there will not be 15-minute queues in Churchill, where vehicles will stand and wait to cross, either in one direction or the other.
Drivers could use the new overpass in the first half of next year.
Prague city councillors have approved subsidies worth more than 260 million crowns to support social services. Money from the city budget and European funds will help finance personal assistance, outreach programs, services for families with children, and the operation of shelters and other facilities for people in difficult life situations.
Prague officials approved over 260 million crowns for social services. Money from the city budget and European funds will help secure the operation of personal assistance and other services for seniors, families with children, or people in difficult life situations.
This is extremely important for Prague because if we claim that we want people to remain in their own homes for as long as they wish, then these specific field services and personal assistance are absolutely crucial because that is the help provided right at home. So that individuals do not have to move into a nursing home or any other facility, which is why this is so incredibly important. We are continuously increasing the funding for these assistance programs and for these field and outpatient services, and if I have the opportunity, I will keep increasing that funding, because I believe that if someone decides they want to stay at home, that is how it should be.
A significant part of the funding will be provided by the European Social Fund. This allows the city to expand support for services it has long funded from its own budget.
The legislative documents that were added to the agenda today are actually drawing resources from the European Social Fund. And Europe is providing these funds to us, which means that we can effectively supplement the services that Prague is already financing from its own budget and the Ministry of Labour budget.
The support applies to personal assistance, field programs, services for families with children, but also, for instance, shelters, halfway houses, or intervention centers.
Of course, social services are very important for Prague. Prague naturally has its own money, budgets, and infrastructure that supports it. And through this, we are able to draw on resources from the European Union that complement it. Consequently, we can actually utilize European resources for programs that Prague would have financed on its own, and thus Prague can keep more funds for programs, for example, that are not supported by the European Union.
The city wants to use subsidies to ensure the stable operation of social services, their personnel staffing, as well as better accessibility for the residents of Prague.
And that's all for this week's update. Thank you for watching, stay informed, and see you next week.